Two people can make the same amount of money and end up in completely different places. This is Elena. She does everything right, pays her bills, stays consistent, tries to be responsible. And then there's someone else, Trish. Same income, same basic life, but somehow things start to build. And if you look at them side by side, nothing obvious explains the difference. That's what makes this so confusing, because it doesn't look like a discipline problem and it doesn't look like a spending problem, but the difference is real, and it starts much earlier than most people think. Your life is set up in a way that makes getting ahead feel harder than it should. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because most of your money is already decided before you even touch it. And most people never question that. They just assume they're the problem. They think they need more discipline, more control, better habits. Maybe they just haven't found the right system yet. But even when they try, nothing really changes. Because the problem isn't just what they're doing, it's what their life does automatically. With Elena, from the outside looking in, nothing looks wrong. She has a stable job, pays her bills, does what she's supposed to do. She shows up on time, handles her responsibilities, avoids unnecessary risks. It looks like she's doing everything right. Every 2 weeks, she gets paid. $2,100 hits her account. And for a moment, it feels like progress. Not exciting, not stressful, just stable, like things are under control again. Like whatever pressure was there before has eased for a second. And for a short time, that feeling is enough. But it doesn't last, because slowly, that money starts to change meaning. At first, it feels like possibility. You look at your balance, and for a second, it feels like you have options, like maybe this month will be different. Like maybe this is the month things actually stretch. And sometimes, she even does the math in her head. If I just don't spend much this week, if nothing unexpected happens, maybe I can finally keep a little more this time. Then, almost without noticing, it becomes responsibility. $1,850 rent, $300 groceries that don't last, $120 in gas, subscriptions she barely remembers, insurance, utilities, things that don't feel like choices, just things that have to be handled, things that were decided a long time ago, and now just continue. And none of it feels wrong. Nothing feels reckless, and nothing feels like a mistake. It just feels like life. And from the outside, she's managing it well. Because she is. She's not overdrafting. She's not ignoring bills. She's not making obvious bad decisions. She's doing what people say to do, but managing something and moving forward aren't the same thing. Because before she even opens her banking app, her money already has a destination. Rent is already gone. Bills are already assigned. Half her paycheck is already spoken for. And what's left doesn't feel like progress money. It feels like get through the rest of the month money. So when she tries to do better, she's not starting fresh. She's working around what's already decided. And that matters more than people realize. Because when money flows out easily and staying on track takes effort, the default always wins. Everything around her is built for ease: automatic payments, one-click purchases, subscriptions that renew quietly, even the way things are priced, designed to feel small in the moment. Monthly instead of total, incremental instead of noticeable. And over time, those small amounts stop feeling like decisions. They just feel expected. Nothing feels aggressive, nothing feels like a bad decision, so she doesn't question it, she just moves with it. And over time, that creates something subtle. A life where money leaves, without resistance. Where spending feels normal, and awareness feels like work. Where staying on track requires constant effort. And the moment that effort drops, things drift. Not dramatically, not all at once, just slightly. And slightly is enough. Because those small shifts always move in one direction. So every month becomes the same pattern. Stay afloat, reset, repeat, and after months of this, nothing looks dramatically wrong. But nothing really changes either. The numbers move, but not in a way that feels like progress. And that's what makes it confusing. Because there's no clear mistake to fix, just a pattern that quietly repeats. So she adapts. She gets used to checking her balance, used to thinking ahead, used to adjusting. She starts recognizing numbers without even thinking. What things cost, what's too much, what's fine for now. She starts mentally subtracting money before it's even gone. And sometimes, She catches herself doing it without realizing, standing in a store, doing calculations in her head, before she even decides if she wants something. And eventually, it stops feeling like a problem to solve. It just feels like how life works. So she tries to fix it, be more disciplined, track everything, cut small expenses, pay more attention. And for a few days, it feels like it's working, like she finally figured it out. Like this time might be different, but nothing actually changes because the structure underneath her life is still the same. So everything resets. And over time, that starts to feel like being stuck, even when you're trying, even when you're doing things right. And this is the part most people miss. Because if you asked her, she wouldn't say she's failing. She would say she's trying. She would say she's responsible. She would say she's doing everything she's supposed to do. And all of that is true. But effort feels like progress, even when it's not changing anything. And that's what keeps people stuck the longest. Because it doesn't feel like being stuck. It feels like doing something, like improving, like moving forward. But movement is not always progress. And that realization doesn't come all at once. It starts quietly. She begins to notice something else. Not just what changes, but what actually stays. Because everything she's tried before felt temporary. Every plan, every system, every reset, it worked until it didn't. And that pattern becomes impossible to ignore because nothing is carrying forward, nothing is building, nothing is staying long enough to become something. And once she sees that, the problem starts to look different, not something to fix harder, but something to understand. Because if nothing stays, nothing compounds. And if nothing compounds, nothing changes, no matter how much effort you put in. And this is where most people stay. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, but because everything feels explainable. I just need to try harder. I just need to stay consistent. And those thoughts feel right, but they never touch what's actually causing it. So the cycle continues. You don't feel stuck because you're failing. You feel stuck because nothing in your life is set up to build. And once that becomes clear, something shifts. Not dramatically, just a different way of seeing things. That progress isn't in what you start, it's in what continues. And that getting ahead was never about doing more. It was about noticing what your life already does on its own and deciding whether you're going to keep living inside that or change it.